Hello, and welcome to Speak Honest. I am your host and certified relationship coach, Jennifer Noble. It has been my passion for over a decade to help women like you heal what's been holding you back from having the relationships you deserve. Are you struggling with a relationship where you can't seem to voice your emotions, needs, and boundaries without having it blow up in your face? Then you have found the right podcast, my friend. Get ready for practical tips, empowering truths, and honest conversations. Now, let's dive in. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Speak Honest. Today, I have an exciting podcast that I want to do. It's going to be a little bit different than all the other ones I've kind of done, but that is because today, Wednesday, June 19th, 2024, I am officially 40 years old. Woo! I'm really surprised to be here. I'm surprised to be 40. I'm surprised I made it this far. I honestly, a little while ago, 20 some years ago, did not expect to make it this far. And here I am. So I really wanted to take some time today to reflect on my journey and really see where life has taken me so far. One of the big things that I was questioning as I was thinking about this podcast was, have you ever wondered how much your life can change in a decade? So I started thinking back to myself in 2014 when I was turning 30 years old. At that time, it was a pretty rough year for me. My dad had just died in January, unexpectedly, at the age of 64 from a heart attack. They called it a widowmaker. It was absolutely terrible. It destroyed my life in that moment, and it was really hard for me. And so here I was, 29 years old. I just lost my dad. I'm in this marriage that had been triggering from the start, but I was still trying to make it work. And I had a 3-year-old. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I was deeply still involved in my Christian faith at that time and in this purity culture. So just to kind of give you a little bit of background, I was brought up Catholic, and then over time, I actually became non-denominational. And that non-denominational church that I was a part of and all of these big mega churches really, honestly just fucked with my head. I'll just be really honest with you. This purity culture shit that they instill into women to make them feel less than and all of this stuff, just looking back, it really messed with my head. It gave me a lot of trauma. It didn't help that I had been sexually abused as a child as well. And so this was my way of thinking, well, I deserved that, blah, 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 right? So I bring all this up to say, I really went through it a lot. When I was younger, I met my then husband, my now ex-husband, and we were both Christians and we tried to make it work and we saved ourselves for marriage because, we're good little Christians and all this stuff. And we had a kid right away and we did everything we were supposed to be doing. But my life was a mess. I was super depressed, highly anxious. I hadn't been diagnosed with anything that I am now diagnosed with, panic disorder and ADHD and borderline personality disorder. None of those I even knew. All I knew was I was incredibly volatile. I would throw things around the house or yell at my husband or yell at my poor child, all of this stuff. And it was a terrible, terrible place that I was in. And I bring all this up to say, I'm not that way anymore. And it's wild when I think about it. So here I am 10 years ago, just about to turn 30, married, Christian, going to church, doing Bible study. And I have a 3-year-old daughter at the time. I just want to be very clear here. We're going to get into a little bit of my life story that some of you may or may not know about. But at the time, here I am, 3-year-old daughter, married, Christian, very overweight, struggling with back pain every single day, deep depression happening. And not very much really exciting in my life. And that's when I learned that I needed to kind of start doing something. So that depression kind of just got worse in 2015 and 2016. My back pain got worse. I had to do all of these doctor's appointments. I was getting nerve ablations and steroid injections. And finally in 2017, my doctor was like, girl, you're nearly 300 pounds. You need to lose weight. And I was like, I'm trying, but my body with PCOS and all this other shit is not doing anything. And I'm secret eating and I'm having this eating disorder where it's intense and I'm hiding food in trash cans and just my whole life is a mess, right? So in 2017, in May of 2017, I finally got the gastric sleeve surgery. I like to be really open about this because I think it's important for people to realize that no matter your journey, no matter it is what you're doing, you have to do what's best for you. And so that was probably one of the best things that I ever did for my health. And I give my ex-husband mad props in that moment because he supported the crap out of me there. Like, I know I get really frustrated with him sometimes, and it can be really, really, what's the word I'm looking for? And just infuriating, and we don't mesh very well. But he's a good dude. Like, he really is. And he was like, yeah, go ahead and do it. And we will support you. And my mom came in and she took care of my child at the time. And all of this stuff was happening. So I got the surgery in 2017. And then I lost 140 pounds. It was like I just finally started gaining confidence. And there's kind of this stat out there that says, like, if you get weight loss surgery, the majority of marriages, they don't make it through the weight loss surgery. But I think I have an idea of why that is. And it's because when I was really heavy and overweight, I just thought that I was less than. And as I was losing the weight, I honestly just started getting more attention and my confidence started growing and I started talking to more people. And it was during that time as well that I started learning what my faith actually was and started learning that the church that we were a part of was not okay and that the men were misogynistic and that there was a lot of problems going on. And so I just started really learning and diving deep into all of these concepts. This is around like 2018. Then we're moving into 2019. And you all know what's going to come next after 2019. And I'll get to that in a second. But it was in 2019 when my feelings towards my ex-husband at the time, they just started kind of waning. And he honestly was dealing with his own shit. And so he was also kind of getting less and less into the relationship. We separated rooms. We went into different kind of lives. We barely talked to each other. Our 10-year anniversary on April of 2019 was the one moment I realized, like, I can't do this anymore. He did not put any effort into our relationship. I had to plan our date, which was a Game of Thrones trivia. And the entire time we were there, he wouldn't even talk to me. I learned later why that is. And that's a whole nother conversation that I will still keep private for now, but maybe one day I'll share about. But I just learned I can't do this anymore. And I started getting more confidence. I was running Harry Potter trivia with my friends. I mean, I don't like Harry Potter much anymore, but at the time it was my life. I started learning that I was good at this, that I was good at talking. I was funny. I was engaging. I was energetic. And I ended up meeting a boy who was a part of our circle. And he started lighting up my life. And I found myself wanting to be around him all the time. In fact, I felt this so much that in April of 2019, I actually said I had to stop seeing him because it was starting to become a problem. But interestingly enough, I run back into this kid in September of 2019. And then that's when my world starts shifting. And that was the moment when I realized I wanted more. It was September 14th. I was doing an art and wine festival because I used to make clothes for kids. And he came into my tent and I had known him for a couple years now and I was starting to get to know him better. And that's when I realized, like, I started having feelings inside of me that I hadn't felt before and I wanted more. So I talked to my ex-husband in the car before we even went back inside and like had to go get our kids some dinner. I was just like, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? Why do we even want to be together? And he kind of agreed. And so we thought to ourselves, listen, we could stay together until our kid turns 18. No problem. And then we could separate. We enjoy each other enough. Like, we're friends, we're friendly, but it's not who we want to be. We're very different people now than when we were 23 and we first met. And so we made the decision to separate. And at first we did this thing called nesting where he moved out and we would slowly just each spend time in the house with our kid being there. And then eventually he got his own place and he got a partner and I started dating this other man and all these things happened. Well, that was 2019. And then in 2020, the pandemic happened. And I lived probably the best 4 months of my life in that 2019 era. I was like, I was a new version of myself. It was like the early 20s person I should have always been and never got a chance to be because I was held down so much from this Christian culture of purity and perfection and women and all these things. And so here I was in October of 2019 dating this new man and I was just so happy. Those 4 months were so great. He taught me so much about myself. It was amazing. And then he broke up with me. Literally the day the pandemic started and I lost my fucking mind. I'm not even kidding you. It was probably one of the deepest depressions I've ever been in. I did not think that I was going, if it wasn't for my child, I don't think I would be here. It was bad. Now, I know a lot of us had a really bad pandemic and I want to hold space for all of those feelings and I want to share my story. So in May of 2020, I start seeing a therapist, and then I start learning about attachment styles, and I start realizing all of these issues that I thought was everyone else was actually a lot of me. And so I started healing. And here I've been in therapy since I was 17 years old. So I thought I was fine. But no, a lot of this stuff, they were just all coping mechanisms that I had built up inside of me from all the trauma that I had happen to me as a kid. And so during this time, I learned about myself. I started breaking my enmeshment with my family. This was a huge deal for me and something I can get more into in the future. But this was like, wow, for me to just be like, no, I don't want what you want. And that's not what I am. And then at this time, my child came out as trans, and I'm so happy for him. And I was I was excited for him to be whoever he is. I'm always very happy about that. And yet, when I look back on my life, I bring all this up to say, 10 years ago, I was Christian, married, with a 3-year-old daughter. And if you had told me in 2014, after my dad had died, that not only was I going to be okay, but that I was going to be flourishing and thriving and living the best life I've ever had in my entire life, I literally would have thought you were on drugs or something. But here I am now, and I'm newly married to a wonderful man who is just the most amazing partner in life that I've ever had. I have a 13-year-old son. I'm so excited to have that son. I did a TEDx talk in February. I became valedictorian of my college. I entered a speech contest and I got second place all the way up in districts. I started a podcast. I'm a relationship coach. I'm going to become a therapist. Holy shit, Jen. Look what you've done. And that's like what I want to talk about today. It's just the lessons that I've learned over these last 10 years. And I'm so excited to see what the next 10 years are going to bring. If I'm sitting here right now at 40 and I'm thinking 30-year-old Jen would be so proud of 40-year-old Jen right now. Like 30-year-old Jen would just high five, like, hell yeah, Jen, you did this. I'm so proud of you. What is 40-year-old Jen going to think of 50-year-old Jen, right? That's what I'm thinking. What is 2034 going to be like? I mean, in my mind, it's like, do I have my doctorate? Oh, wow. Oh my gosh, I could be a psychologist, you guys. I could be writing a book. I could be doing speaking gigs. I could be helping people. I could be a voice for the voiceless. I can help women live the lives that they deserve to be living, but that they don't think they can get. And that's why I do what I do. And so the one lesson that I learned over the last 10 years, I have 3 lessons that I was kind of thinking about wanting to bring up in today's podcast. And so the first lesson is embracing change. It's just really understanding how drastic your life can change within just 10 years' time, just 10 years. And 10 years is quite a long time, and it's also not long at all. So it's important to be open to trying new experiences and just keep growing, even if you think it's going to take forever. When I first started back in college in 2021, I was like, what the hell am I doing? I cannot get a degree. I'm way too old. This is absolutely ridiculous. But see, I had never gone to college out of high school because I thought I was a dum-dum. I mean, honestly, everyone told me, you're a ditz, Jen. You're an idiot. Like, you don't know. I failed out most of my classes. I barely graduated. I never went to college. So why would I think I can just all of a sudden start taking psychology classes? And yet here I am. I got help. I learned that I have these issues in my mind that were causing me to have comprehension issues. It's not my fault that I couldn't read a book. I have ADHD, and my ADHD means that sometimes I cannot understand at all what this word is saying. But I got help. And my panic disorders, those aren't just me being extra sensitive. And I'm doing quotation marks for anyone who can't see me because I'm not extra sensitive. I just am. I just am who I am. And in fact, my sensitivity to me is one of my greatest strengths. But that means that, yeah, sometimes I have anxiety around tests or when I'm in a classroom and I need to take a break. And all of a sudden, the world is catching up. And because the world is catching up, I'm starting to flourish. Like, I just want to say thank you to the world for finally catching up. And I know we have a lot of ways to go. And that's what my goal is, to keep pushing and to keep moving forward. We have come a really far way, because the second lesson that I learned over these last 10 years is that self-acceptance and body positivity is so important. That self-acceptance, like for myself, of wanting to go and get myself diagnosed with ADHD, that came because I finally realized I needed help. That came from a level of self-acceptance. In fact, I read this book in 2020 that changed my life forever. And it was called Radical Acceptance by Tara Brach. And it would just happen to be on my friend's bedside table. And I was watching her house for her while she was having to deal with some big family issue. And I opened it up and I started reading it. And my life just changed. And I started learning how to have acceptance for who I am, for the things around me. I'd been fighting against this for so long. But with that acceptance came the ability to go and get diagnosed. And I was really afraid to get diagnosed. I didn't want to be labeled as ADHD or problematic. Funnily enough, I got diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. And that even scares me to talk about here on the podcast because I'm afraid if you hear that I have BPD, that you are not going to take me seriously now, that you're just going to think, oh, I'm just an over emotional woman and I don't know what I'm talking about and I must have issues. Well, let's be clear. I definitely have issues, but being diagnosed with BPD was one of the best things that happened to me because I learned that all of these issues, my emotional dysregulation, everything going on, it wasn't just that I was disorganized, attached. It was also that I have this trauma in my life that has caused me to react to situations in this way. And that's not my fault, but it is my responsibility. So I learned that self-acceptance and loving myself and loving my mental capacity and my physical capacity is a really big deal. So I love my body now. And like I said, I lost all of that weight and it did give me more confidence, but it also just taught me that my confidence comes from within. I've put on 40 pounds since then and I still love my body, but that doesn't mean that I don't still want to lose weight. But that's because I have a lot of pain that the weight brings on. So within this acceptance finally came this understanding that I'm so much more than what I look like. I am so much more than what I dress or what I put on. But somehow that actually gave me more confidence to want to have cute clothes and to put extensions in my hair and to wear cute lashes. I used to not do that stuff for fear that people would think that, oh, she's trying too hard or she just wants to be like a Kardashian. And here I was so afraid of what everyone else thought of me all the time. What does it matter? That's what I'm learning. And maybe that comes with age. Maybe that comes with healing. I don't know. I know a lot of women in their 40s are just finally like, fuck it, I don't give a shit anymore. And that's kind of where I'm at. And I think it's a beautiful acceptance of my life and of my body and of my mind. And I love being here. And my last lesson that I really learned in this stage of my life was overcoming adversity. So facing and overcoming these health issues and my depression and all of these personal losses, like during these last 10 years, I didn't just lose my dad, I lost my aunt and I also lost my cousin to an overdose or a potential suicide, depending on, who you talk to. We also went through a lot of issues with my nibblings in my life and my own son and all of these things are going on. And so through this though, it built up resilience in a way that I hadn't actually expected. And would I have preferred to maybe not had to deal with this? Sure. But it is what it is. That's that radical acceptance that we talk about. And I just learned that I can deal with this. I can put up with this. I can work through this. And it really gave me a sense of empowerment that I've never had before. And I'm just so proud of all of the places that I've come through all of this adversity. So with all of this said, I am just so grateful to be here, to have this podcast, to be able to talk to all of you, to have my coaching program, to have clients that trust me to help them through their problems. That's just such a dream of mine. I've been wanting to help people for as long as I could remember. I've always wanted to be a therapist. I just never thought I could because I didn't think I would be smart enough to ever pass any tests. And if you're out there right now and you're thinking to yourself, I could never do any of that, just please look at my life and just see that you definitely can. Will it look exactly like what you want? No, absolutely not. This is not the life that I pictured for myself 10 years ago. But I'm so happy that I have accepted where I am and enjoyed and embraced where I am today. And that makes me so happy to see where the next 10 years are going to go. I know that I'm still going to have ups and downs. I know that I'm still going to have struggles and issues, and I'm probably still going to struggle with my self-belief and my acceptance and am I good enough and am I loved, am I worthy? Those are just a part of us, but it's all about balance. It's just about finding that balance between the fear that kind of holds us back and that inner knowing of what we know we want to be doing in our lives. So if we have too much fear, what's going to happen? Too much fear means we shut down, we avoid, we don't want to do it, right? Fear is helpful. Fear lights us up. Fear excites us and gets us going, right? It revs up our system. It's fight or flight. It's there and we need it. We actually really do. Because if all we had was our inner knowing and a safe feeling of comfort and understanding, we might not actually be revved up to go and do anything. And that inner knowing can actually become quite problematic. It can become arrogance or too much pride. And so we need to balance these two things. We need to balance our inner knowing with our fear to kind of get this really beautiful sweet spot. So as we wrap up, I just want to say thank you for being here with me. Thank you for allowing me to celebrate my 40th birthday here on the podcast. And I cannot wait for 10 years' time. Gosh, I would love for this podcast to still be going on in 10 years' time. I cannot wait to see where Speak Honest goes over the next 10 years. And something that I really love doing in my journals lately is writing myself little notes to myself, to my future self, to say, great job, Jen, keep going. I'm really proud of you. So I'm going to do that right now. This is kind of off the cuff. I've just decided, but I'm going to say right now, hey, Jen in the future, Jen, who's turning 50. You're going to look back and you're going to listen to this and you're going to laugh because you're going to hear the voice of a 40-year-old who was at a place where she was so downtrodden for so long, and now she's so happy and she's so fulfilled in life. And she's still struggling though. She still doesn't know where she fits in. But you know what? 50-year-old Jen, I'm so proud of you wherever we are right now. If we are still married to our beautiful husband, or if not, then it must have meant something happened. In 10 years' time, oh my gosh, our son is going to be 23. That's wild. He'll be out of college. Maybe, hopefully, who knows? I'm so proud of you, Jen, for where you're going. And I'm going to do everything I can in my power to get us there. Thank you so much to everyone listening. Thank you to everyone that is out there supporting me. If you would like to give me a birthday gift for this year, you could leave a review on my podcast because that helps other people see it. Or you can come and join my Facebook group and come wish me a happy birthday in there. I do love my birthday. I won't even lie. You can make a fuss about my birthday as much as you want. It lights up my soul all the time. Thank you so much again for being here, and I will talk to you all next week. Take care. As we wrap up today's conversation, always remember that healing is a journey, not a destination. And it is an honor to be a part of your healing journey. If you want to dig deeper into the topics we covered today, be sure to head over to our show notes where you can find all of the valuable information mentioned in today's episode right there. And please remember to rate, review, and subscribe if you enjoyed today's podcast. Your feedback means the world to us and helps others discover our podcast. Until next time, remember to speak up and speak honest.